Everybody, Kemo Sabi here, coming at you with another video. So this one's off of ensia webpage, a write-up by a journalist, an independent journalist, Mary Catherine O'Connor at mcoc. So, with the topic of, as synthetic microfibers infiltrate food, water, and air, how can we prevent future release? Scientists and manufacturers are looking for ways to keep synthetic microfibers from getting into the environment in the first place. July 16, 2018 editor's note, this is the final installment in a three-part series on the emerging threat of microfiber pollution. In part 1, we investigate where microfibers come from and where they are found in the environment. In part 2, we explored the implications for the environment and human health. In 2013, ecologist Mike Anthony Brown presented the results of some unsettling research to leaders from a handful of major apparel brands, including Nike, Polar Tech, a major supplier of polyester fleece, and Patagonia, and Brown had published a report that implicated synthetic apparel as a possible source of microplastic pollution. Brown wanted the companies to fund research to evaluate how and why apparel sheds fibers in order to mitigate the action, perhaps the redesigning, textile processing, or sourcing different material. They all declined, except for clothier Eileen Fisher, which provided Brown with a small seed grant. The others said it was too early. They wanted a larger scientific consensus that their products were sources of plastic pollution. In the years since Brown first approached the apparel industry, numerous additional studies have shown that synthetic microfibers shed by clothing and other manufactured products are being ingested by fish and shellfish and can be found in food, drinks, and even air. It's still unclear whether microfibers pose a real threat to the health of humans or other living things, yet under this specter, they might. Academic, non-profit, and apparel industry scientists have started to look at ways to stem the flow of microfibers into the environment. Solutions to shedding. One approach to reducing the release of microfibers into the environment revolves around altering textiles to make them less likely to shed fibers into the environment during everyday use or into water when they are washed. Several years ago, the European Union funded a 3-year $1.2 million project known as the Mermaids. That would be in European money, so that would be pounds or kroners or one of those ones, or the euro, so that would be a lot more in American and Canadian money if in retrospect. That involves a consortium of European textile experts and researchers along the Anti-Plastic Pollution Group, Plastic Soup Foundation, and in May 2017, Mermaids issued a detailed report recommending changes in manufacturing synthetic textiles, including using coatings designed to reduce fiber loss. Thus far, no manufacturers have announced initiatives to test any of the report's findings or suggestions. Before committing researchers to testing new manufacturing methods aimed at reducing shedding, representatives of the apparel industry say they want to figure out how much different kinds of fabric shed so they can appropriately target efforts to reduce microfiber pollution, and that's a sticking point right now. Some studies have sought to determine which fabrics shed the most, but praising and identifying the exact types of plastics, especially microscopic fibers found in environmental samples, is different and requires expensive equipment that many researchers cannot access. And in early 2017, the Vancouver Aquarium, through its Coastal Ocean Research Institute, CORI, announced that it was launching a comprehensive microfiber study with the hope of eventually being able to trace microfibers found in the environment back to the specific brand and article of clothing from which it was shed. Funding for the project includes a Canada $50,000 grant from the Mountain Equipment Co-op, as well as undisclosed sums from the outdoor brands Arctic Terex and Patagonia and REI. Each of the retailers provided CORI Executive Director Peter Ross with samples of synthetic garments of various polymers such as polyester and nylon from their respective product lines. Ross and his team are running swatches of each sample through a battery of 90-day tests to see how they hold up to exposure to the elements. One set is placed in open air, where the swatches are exposed to wind, precipitation, temperature, and humidity variations. One set is submerged in the bay water outside the aquarium and is exposed to biofouling, seawater, temperature variations, currents, and aquatic life. A third set is submerged in fresh water. The group is also using an infrared spectrometer to determine the unique infrared signature of each fabric sample based on the unique mix of dyes and additives, and cataloging signatures both of intact samples and samples that have been through the exposure experiments. The hypothesis is that weathering in these various conditions will give the polymers characteristic signs of degradation, thereby changing their infrared signature in predictable ways. Our one project goal is to help us better understand how these fibers change over time with weathering, explains Ross. Another is to create a spectral liberty that is, in the future, can be used to identify the source, brand, and apparel type of microfibers collected from the environment. Having over 100 samples gives a great opportunity to look at a wide range of blends, different synthetic materials, weaves, and designs, says Ross, and with the weathering studies, it's going to create a really nifty study and database that will put us in a much better position to understand what's going on with environmental samples. Katie Stevens, Sustainability Project Manager for the Outdoor Gear Industry Consortium European Outdoor Group, EOG, is encouraging the textile industry to lead research on fiber loss, contending it is better suited than marine scientists to study textiles. She suggests the industry establish protocols for quantifying fiber loss from particular synthetic fibers, then set standards aimed at keeping fiber loss to a minimum through changes to fabric manufacturing or construction. The American Association of Textile Chemists and Colorists, AATCC, and ASTM International are involved in a standard-setting effort with EOG aimed at being able to pinpoint just how much fiber any given fabric or blend of fabrics will release in washing machines. Stevens says the EOG will work with the International Association of Standardization, ISO, which most European brands use to ensure compatibility so that textiles can be tested to a consistent set of protocols globally. The goal is to get a clearer understanding of exactly how apparel is contributing to the microfiber pollution. Is washing even the biggest leakage point? We don't know, says Heather Shields, chair of Microfiber Working Group for the American Association of Textile Chemists and Colorists, AATCC. If you're wearing a backpack every day, how is that going to shed fibers from your fleece jacket? Once apparel makers know which fabrics are the worst shedders, the next step is to experiment with the newer approaches to yarn and fabric construction. Shedding has to do with the yarn twist. It has to do with the yarn fiber length, the fiber type, the yarn type, as well as fabric density. Silverman says there are millions of different things that go into whether a fabric is going to shed from that fabric, but changes to the twist or using a different fabric content has a cascade of other impacts. It affects the aesthetic, the performance, the cost of the products. It's a humongous problem, Silverman says. German outdoor apparel brand Void, Adidas, Polartec, and WWF Germany are among the organizations that have embarked on a research program called Textile Mission, backed by a Euro $1.7 million grant from Germany Federal Minister of Education and Research. For the 3-year project, the partners are contributing material and the subject expertise towards collaboratively developing new fabrics and technologies that will reduce microfiber pollution, but are also practical and feasible and scalable within the regular outdoor and sports supply chains, says Haliki Pazwell, the VADE Senior Manager of the Corporate Social Responsibility. Biodegradable fibers. Another approach to reducing microfiber pollution could be to substitute biodegradable fabrics for the durable plastics used in most synthetic textiles today. VOD is also testing biodegradable fibers. It is already using Tencel, a brand of lyocell cellulose wood-derived polymer, in place of petroleum-based polymers in some of its products. According to Tencel manufacturers Lenzin, the fabric has been certified as biodegradable in seawater based on a series of ASTM testing standards. Mango Materials, in Berkeley, California-based startup, has been developing a biodegradable plastic using polyhydroxychelonate PHA derived from the waste methane from the past 8 years. CEO Molly Morris and her colleagues stumbled upon a winning recipe for a PHA fiber last summer. This is a type of polyester so that it has the same performance characteristics, Morris says. It is hydrophobic, so it wicks moisture. We've not tested it for odor retention, but it is quick drying. Thus far, the textile industry has greeted news of the discovery with a lot of enthusiasm, she adds. Mango Materials has been able to make small textile samples and is now testing them for biodegradability in the Berkeley Marina. Morose says it could take about 2 years to get to a point where their material could be mass-produced and used in apparel or other textiles. The company does not intend to sell its products to companies that will use common textile treatments that are also persistent pollutants in the environment, such as PFCs, and polyfluorinated chemicals, she says. Nick Mallows, who directs the Ocean Conservancy Trash Free Seas program, says plant-based products such as what Mango Materials is developing might be able to tackle some of the issues related to the end-of-life impact, but that which any type of plastics being developed to address pollution problems, we have to be sure that they don't have unintended consequences. When we think about solutions for the ocean, at present, biodegradable and bioplastics are not a solution, Mallow says. Another California company, Intrinsic Textiles Groups, makes Cyclo, an additive that is designed to hasten the biodegradation of shed fibers in wastewater or within a marine environment when applied to synthetic apparel during manufacturing. Cyclo claims that microbes present in wastewater treatment facilities consume the treated material. Company co-founder Andrea Ferris says 10% of the fibers coated with its additive are consumed based on a lab test performed to measure the rate of biodegradation in a simulated anaerobic digesters such as those used to process sewage sludge from a wastewater treatment plant. Ferris is working with 4 apparel brands that plan to release products using the additive next year. Some people, such as Corinne North, watershed protection manager for the city of Palo Alto, remain suspect of the company's claims, though. This seems too good to be true without knowing what the additive is made out of, she says, a sewage stopgap. Laundering appears to be a key way microfibers make their way into the environment, and some washing machine filters, like those homeowners with septic systems sometimes used to reduce clogging, could become an effective way to keep microfibers from entering the wastewater. In an unpublished study, microplastics researchers Chelsea Rochman of the University of Toronto found that a product called the lint LUV-R collected 87% of all fibers released during washing, but installing such devices can be an expensive plumbing job. Rosalia Project, a non-profit organization focused on eliminating microplastic pollution, produces a device called a Cora Bell that consumers can drop inside a washing machine to snag free-floating fibers. Rochman's lab found this device to be 26% effective. A German retailer called Langberet also sells a fine mesh bag called the Guppy Friend, designed to collect fibers. Apparel brands have been calling for washing machine manufacturers to help reduce microfiber pollution for years. Mei, a home appliance manufacturer, is participating in the German textile emission study. scheduled to last 3 years by providing its washing machines for testing of textiles. In Japan, many models of washing machines have integrated filters that trap fibers. U.S. manufacturers do not appear to have taken any public steps toward integrating filters aimed at preventing microfiber release. Through the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers is paying attention to microfiber pollution, AHAM believes that this issue would be best managed early in the textile life cycle, says Association spokesperson Jill Notini. We need the appliance industry to play a bigger part, says Alicia Foster, senior managing in Patagonia's product responsibility division. I hope they're willing to come to the table and work with us on this. Xeros, a company that makes specialized industrial washing machines that use plastic balls to clean textiles, announced that it has developed a special microfiber filter for domestic washing machines. The company's global sustainability director, Karen Mignon, says it can capture fibers with diameters of 32 microns or larger. If true, this would be a boon, says Rochman. There is no silver bullet, but I'd imagine a 30 micron filter is going to get 90+% of fibers from going out the drain. Weaving together. Developing a clear understanding of the extent and consequences of microfiber pollution and what can be done to mitigate any negative impacts is going to take meaningful long-term collaboration among scientists, policymakers, appliance manufacturers, and the entire textile industry. But consumers may ultimately be the key. Fast fashion, inexpensive but stylish clothing is where the change has to start, Silverman says, noting the tremendous volume of apparel that brands such as H&M and Zara produce, as well as the influence they have on the textile supply chain. This is definitely a real problem, and it's also a problem that is way bigger than the outdoor industry, says Foster. We need the whole apparel industry to take this on. So there you have it, everybody. A nice little chunk of information from the lady's write-up there. She has extensive write-ups, so we're just going to leave it at that. And if you hit up the web page, which of course I always leave in the description, at the bottom of it there is, read part 1, part 2. So hopefully you found that interesting, and obviously it would be kind of cool if we could get rid of microplastics and microfibers and all that kind of stuff from going out into the environment, and that would be a good thing. So if you hit up that subscribe button, that would be awesome. I try and release videos every 3-4 days. It's been 5 since this one released. Just been so busy with work, but at some point, as we're dropping back down into the less busy season, you'll be seeing more regular videos every 3-4 days kind of thing. And thanks a lot for sticking with me. If you leave some comments, that'll be awesome. And just to point out, sometimes if you leave a comment on one of my newer videos or anything else, YouTube, even though of course all my settings are approved to all comments, will put your comment into a review status, and sometimes I'll click approved on that particular comment or whatever else if you're a new subscriber, or if you wanted me to come check out your channel and all that kind of stuff, which I'm very willing to do. Will sometimes just get auto deleted or whatever else. Like the other day I pressed approved on a comment and it was on one of the newer videos, and it didn't pop up. Like, I pressed approved and YouTube just deleted it, and of course it was with a comment like, glad I hit up your channel and all that, and I was going to subscribe back to him and at least check out his channel, but couldn't do that because the comment was gone. So anytime I see a comment and review or anything else, I'll screen capture it or whatever else. I got the evidence there. Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. Kemo, Sabi out. We'll see you in the next one, and thanks for sticking with me, and have a great last couple months of your 2018. Thanks, everybody.